This is Salamancer. You're watching SalTV Competitive TF2, and it turns out these commentaries are pretty darn popular. So I'm going to do another one. This time, you can tell it is on the medic. Now, before we go too far, I do want to recommend. I'll talk about loadouts later, or rollouts. I'm sorry, later. But I want to mention that the contest is over, and the winner was Slayer Zaxi. So he got a signed rocket launcher from TLR himself. Pretty awesome thing to have. And I don't know what I'm going to do for the next one yet, but there will definitely be another contest, so go ahead and leave a comment here to get things started. Now, we are at the mid-fight. This is on Snakewater, and a lot of medic play is very dependent on the map. There's certain bits of theory that you want to always know, but a lot of what you do really does depend on which map you're playing. So, we're going to start with some of the basic theory for 6v6. First, you're going to have a pocket soldier. You're going to want to stick with him a lot. Domo is my pocket this game. You'll see me giving him a lot of the heals, and he is intended to protect me most of all. Of course, the rest of the team wants to make sure I stay alive too, because the Ubers are how the entire team pushes. So if anybody is around me at the time that I'm under attack, of course, it is all of their responsibility to try and make sure I am safe, because I'm the med, and without the med, you are probably not going to win very many of your games. And so once again, I'm following Domo, we're communicating, and he says, let's go through here. I go ahead and just pop through this. A mistake I used to make early on, I think a lot of people may make this as well, is that they just don't pop early enough. They think, oh, well, if the enemy has an Uber or something, you know, we don't want to waste any of this Uber. It's like 8 seconds long, so you don't want to waste any of it, right? Well, it turns out it's actually a lot better to make sure your teammates stay alive and get through the doors than anything else. Those choke points and doors and everything, that's what sucks. We're going to go through a rollout now, and let's go slowly real quick. You see that I am healing the demo first. Snakewater is one where the demo man doesn't necessarily need a full 260 buff the entire way through, so we're going to speed up a little bit. I'm going to let go of him real fast and immediately get on Eddie here. Eddie is my roaming soldier. He's using the gunboats, and I'm trying to hit him before he takes any damage. Then I'm going to give each of the scouts, if I can, a little bit of a buff. Just a tiny bit. I can't reach one of the scouts, that's too bad, so I'll probably have to try to connect with him at mid or maybe a little bit before. But you see how on Snakewater, it's so fast to mid that by the time you get here, sometimes the equalizer rollout for, say, Domo here doesn't even work. Like, he still is not at crit heals. So, Thorn's the scout that I didn't get the heals on. I'm going to give him a lot of heals now just to make sure he feels happy and safe. But yeah, there's crossbow hits. There's a lot to be said about making sure your soldiers both get to 300 health, especially in the North American scene. In the Euro scene, it's a lot harder to do that, but in North America, you need your soldiers at 300 both. Now, everybody on our team pretty much died except me and Domo. Domo said, no, come on, Sal, let's take him on, let's take him on. I was like, no, we should back up. But he did convince me to come over here, and I think we're going to hide behind this crate for a little while, so I might speed it up as I talk real quick. But the rest of my team is respawned, and at this point, we're just trying to do some weird ambush stuff. It definitely doesn't work. So we're just kind of going to sit here for a while. But, you know, sometimes you want to do some fun things with your team. Clipping through your soldier, whatever it is. Speeding it up again. Because I notice the scout sees us up there, I'm just like, hey, they see us. We have an Uber advantage. Why aren't we pushing right now? You kind of have to, you know, since you're the med, you are probably going to have, I can't even talk. You are probably going to have the most mental bandwidth available to you, because everybody else has to think about one additional thing, which is aiming. You don't have to aim so much. You don't have to think that much about your positioning, because it should be natural. Now, you do notice I'm trying to make sure I'm staying positioned where my pocket soldier stays between me and the enemy team. But you really don't have to think that hard about it any more than anybody else does, and they have to think about how they're going to aim as well and ammo management. You don't have to think about that. So, what you end up thinking about instead, as you get more comfortable with the game, should definitely be more of the strategic aspect. A lot of meds like to do at least a little bit of the calling, although they can't see everything because they should be staying behind their pockets. So some of the calls should come from the pocket, or pretty much whoever has a lot of experience. A demo man can do a lot of it too. It's usually a pretty useful thing. Because they know which damage they've done. So if they know who's weak and how weak they are, or they have an idea of that, they're good for callers as well. But as a med, you should at least be able to keep the team discussion going on, like, okay, we can push this way, we have Uber advantage, they don't, blah, blah, blah. You can count the enemy's Uber. It's a pretty important thing to do. And counting the enemy's Uber, there's a couple ways to do that, but the easiest way is when the enemy medic spawns, press tab to make sure you know when he's spawning, right, and then hold it down if he's dead. When that enemy med spawns, I did a weird thing there. Then you look at your Uber charge percentage and you're like, okay, I'm at 40%. So if he is just now spawning, I have a 40% advantage. Anyway, I did a weird Uber situation there with Domo where he dropped down. I thought he was going to go upstairs and try to attack the med, but we didn't communicate all that well. So I ended up dying. It was not the greatest of Ubers ever. Luckily, our roaming soldier here, Eddie's going to come in and do a lot of damage. at least try to stop them from capping that second point again. And at the very least, we got that nice forward spawn, so we should be able to go in and hold mid or stop second possibly. Blat right now is in there stopping second. This is a pug NA game, so a little bit more high powered than a lobby, I guess. Sometimes some lobbies can get pretty high powered, but typically your average pug would be much better. I see a bunch of nastiness in there, so I tried to grab that little health kit, but I'm pretty much feel like I'm screwed right now. I got pretty lucky and I managed to back out without them, dive bombing me, but I think maybe a better soldier there would have spotted me to his right while they were in that Uber and would have just gone for me and destroyed me, because I was at 50 health. It was like one more rocket would have been the end. So I was out of position. Thorn managed to get a headshot on the enemy med, so pretty much at this point we're just like, okay, go, go, go. I'm not sure why I was hanging back, actually. Maybe I was thinking they were still pretty far forward, which they might have been. They did just take down Thorn. And, oh, I didn't like that, so my demo man says, no, let's go ahead. And it's a pickup game. I'm like, okay, fine, I trust him. He is a pretty darn good demo. So we go ahead and walk in. I start getting a little bit of cap time just to make them pay attention to the point, and then I pull that Uber right back out. Now, I do die here. I didn't expect to live through that. And a lot of times when you're attacking last as a med, you want to stay alive through it, but if you get into a position like that where you're really heavily committed, it's sometimes better just to stay on the field, dodge as much damage as possible, force the enemy to shoot a bunch of rockets and scatter gunshots, whatever else at you, so the rest of your team can deal with damage and stay alive. And if you can keep the heals up, so much better. Now, you will see the very best medics, though, such as Shade, Pure, whoever, they generally leave themselves a way out pretty much every time. So, of course, they die a lot, but the only reason they do that is because they're playing against players who are just amazing, just like they are. And I go for the crossbow heal here because I do see that Domo's at very low health, and I'm terrible at healing people apparently. Crossbow not really that effective of a rollout tool, although it can be. But the crossbow, I tend to use it just because it's fun. It's not necessarily any better than the overdose. It's a little bit of a different playstyle. If you think you can get those long range heals, sometimes it is pretty clutch, but typically the crossbow, I mean, you're rarely going to use your primary weapon in any case. The overdose is better for like retreating from situations just slightly, because you get to run about as fast as a scout if you've got a full uber charge or very close to it. Like right now I'm at 97%. If we'd lost that mid, I would have been around 50 or 60%. I would have been running 5 or 6% faster, which is very close to beating a scout. But I do like to use the crossbow, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll take the time to reload since all of you guys are as well. But yeah, it's time to walk forward once again with our pocket, and you'll notice that our flank is covered by a couple of scouts, our roaming soldier, even our demo man I think is on our flank right now. And I'm just trying to make sure I don't have to pop this Uber. I'm watching for sticky traps, I'm watching for enemy flankers by twisting that mouse around. Probably not doing it quite enough, but I tell this scout, hey, I want to bring you in, I want to bring you in. So I'm bringing in both the scouts now, and we're doing kind of a weird scout Uber here instead of the soldiers. Just because we're kind of having fun at this point, and it looks like the game is probably going to go our way. But I do want to make sure that my soldier stays alive as long as possible. And now I can just cap as the rest of my team did all the damage. If you've got good scouts, I mean, it's okay not to pop an Uber on a soldier every time, or not to pop an Uber on a demo every time. It's whoever you need to get through a choke point, or whoever you need to get in the enemy's face as fast as possible, and sometimes that will be your scout. I've seen intermediate teams, for instance, and even low invite teams, Ubering both a scout and a soldier at the same time, and if you've got a wicked amazing scout, like, who am I thinking of? It's Dunn, and is it Steve C? It's somebody really awesome. If you've got wicked amazing scouts, you may as well give them a lot of the Uber and make sure they stay alive so that they can continue their awesome meat shots and high damage. A lot of what I was doing there, I mean, we were very late to mid, Domo especially, because he had to change weapons, so pretty much everyone died. And a lot of what I was doing there was like the dodging I was doing. I tend to dodge in the opposite direction of choke points, and maybe that's the wrong way to do it. I don't know, but okay, Thorn going for the not the back cap, but the spawn camp here. I don't think he gets it. Maybe that's the wrong way to do it, but it often works for me, especially if I've got 1 or 2 allies around who can save me and get the kill. Pretty much, people will expect you to be running in the direction of safety, right? So whether it's towards the health pack or towards the choke point or whatever. And so my habit has always just been, if it looks like they're going to be able to hit me at all, my habit is always just to dodge away from wherever they expect me to go. So dodge away from the choke point, dodge away from the health kit, do a little bit of a jump here and there maybe, just so that they can completely miss me with whatever rocket they're going for. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I have not done any sort of statistical analysis on whether it's a truly effective or legit tactic, but I feel like it works sometimes. Didn't work that time around, but really that's just because we were getting bombed by like 5 people in a choke point anyway. There was not a lot I was going to be able to do. at that mid-fight. So we defended our last pretty successfully. Don't even remember if I had the Uber there, but it doesn't matter. We're pushing out on a mid now. Once again, I'm connected to Domo, who at this point is running a direct hit, which is a little bit strange. But he's going for those direct shots on his opponents, trying to do a lot of damage with that. And I'm okay with this. We've got an Uber. I go ahead and just press X1. You can use anything you want to mask your Uber. But what a lot of people forget is that when you're masking an Uber charge call, like instead of saying I am charged, you just make them say, something like dispenser goes here. You want to continually call that both before and after you get the charge, because otherwise it can still be quite obvious when you have your charge. So you should pretty much just be a chatty medic the entire time, unless you don't want them to know exactly where you are. And in that position, I think I was overextended after the Uber was over. I was trying to get my soldier really aggressive into the enemy team so he could take out the enemy med, and he did miss the med. So at that point, I was way overextended. Should not have been where I was. Should have abandoned my soldier a lot earlier, which sometimes I will end up doing. But a nice back cap there from Thorn. I'm being careful about walking out of choke just because that back cap puts us in a weird position against the enemy team. You see that they are on second right now. They actually turned around, so they were getting towards mid. And I was a little bit concerned that maybe somebody was going to spawn camp us. Nobody did, but at least we were able to keep safe for a while. Hold on to second now, and it does look like our enemies have killed the demo. And so I'm like, okay, let's get out of there. Don't want to be attacked by a scout or two. Domo get a nice kill on Curates. I don't even know if that's how you're really supposed to spell that. Maybe it's Curates, except with a K instead of a C. And Domo with a nice shot. I'm going to take out a scout. Oh, Aerospine, your moment of glory. And again, right here, I didn't really care about healing my team because I knew my team was going to be able to get most of the kills anyway. I was just going for taking the enemy's attention on me, which is often a pretty valid and legit tactic. If you can keep your team healed, so much the better. But I just wanted them to pay a lot of attention to me instead of paying attention to our damage classes, because that way our damage classes weren't taking any hits. And that's almost as good as you healing them, right? In my opinion. There you go. Look at that sick crossbow rollout. Should make a frag video with, like, what is that one house techno song that everybody's always playing? I don't even know. Dubstep, right? It's one of those dubstep songs. You know. Demo Man here is who I'm watching right now, and he's doing a pretty good job here too, but dying early at the mid-fight can be a pretty darn bad thing. I wish I could press tab to show you who all's alive right now, but a lot of their team is up. I'm still respawning, and they're going to have a big Uber advantage, I think, because their med's still alive. Bwat's down, so I'm trying to connect with the soldier here. This is always a frustrating pain in the butt when your soldier's just like, huh, what? No, there's no medic around here. Bye. So, oh, that's annoying. But at least Thorn decided to be a nice person and hang out with me. Give me some Uber building while we're on our way to defending the second point. Meanwhile, either my sensitivity's not high enough or my mouse pad's not big enough because I wasn't able to quite get the heals on my demo, and not able to dodge the shotgun of Tool either. So a pretty darn good play from our red team here, and it does look like after that mid-fight and after they've killed me and most of my team again, I think they'll actually win this round. They should. They should. Eddie goes down. Bwat's jumping into them now, which is probably not the right idea. You want to be backing up to your last point. So, what do you do when the enemy has a big Uber advantage? Well, you try to build Uber as fast as you can, but you're not going to be able to. And so really, the goal at the last point, if the enemy has a big Uber advantage, is to keep your players alive as much as possible. What am I even doing here? I don't know. That's clearly that's not what I'm doing. But the theory is, yes, keep your players alive as much as possible. And so you really, if this were a serious game, you want to make sure everybody has an overheal. And so if your soldier sits there trying to build, or your scout walks up with a basher out and he says, okay, no, let's build the Uber, but you know as a medic, it's like, okay, well, no, I have 0% and they have 100. Just say, no, don't build, keep overheal, keep the buffs. Because if your entire team is buffed, that's just that much more damage enemy has to do, especially if you've got like a heavy sitting out on last, or you've got an engineer building a sentry gun. The buffs are really, really going to help out in the defense. You just want to make sure your players are able to stay alive for as long as possible so they can avoid that Uber that the enemy is bringing in. Or you can do what I did and try to go Rambo and just completely get owned. I mean, it's valid. It's legit. You'll notice how much healing time I'm actually giving to our scouts here. Our soldiers were complaining that they did not like Snakewater mid before this game even started, and so I tried to give a lot of healing time to the scouts because the soldiers were thinking that that our scouts would be kind of OP at those mids. So I was like, okay, well, you know, I'll heal scouts. This time around, it didn't really work very well. And we do have the official, like a catchy, you know, slamming the ground, like, no, we need to have a man-to-man fight here. But it turns out that one of the scouts comes in and kills the demo. He's just like, no, this is lame. I don't know what's going on, but I was really hoping that I would get to see a Pain Train demo kill, and we didn't. Thorn with a nice shot on the enemy demo, though, so at least it's trading demo for demo. But our roaming soldier ran out there and died again. Not sure what he was doing. Oh, these guys and their trash talk. I've got a soldier jumping in after me, and when a soldier bombs in at you, almost no matter who it is, some soldiers just have really, really good aim. But when a soldier bombs in at you like that, it almost always pays off to go towards him rather than away. Whether it's, you know, a market gardener soldier or whatever, he's going to have a certain momentum towards you as a med. And you actually want to use that momentum against him by walking straight underneath the arc of his jump. At least I found that's actually a really effective tactic to completely avoid most of the damage that they do. They land, you know, significantly behind you, and so the difficulty is if you're in a situation where walking forward is going to put you into the enemy scouts or something, that's not a good idea. You're going to have to take the first hits, take some damage. But no, I mean, generally, like especially in the situation I was in there on last, it's a really good idea just to walk underneath that soldier. Take a hop or something so that not even the splash damage from whatever rocket he fires hits you. The reason really for walking underneath them, first of all, it throws off where they're going to land, because trying to change direction when you're that close to the ground already is very, very tough to do. But second, it's a lot tougher to hit those rockets when you have to spin the mouse around. Most soldiers don't actually have that high of a sensitivity, so trying to aim that rocket at you can be pretty tough. And so now we're into the mid. I'm watching for this soldier to try and hit me with rockets. Somehow that splash damage didn't hit me, and that was a little bit weird. Oh, somehow I stay alive here. Can I get the scout kill? I get a hit, but sometimes that's what you want to do with your Uber Saw. I mean, you just kind of get a ninja hit and then back off, because if you try to stay in for the second hit, you're very, very likely to die, unless you just know you can get that hit. But I highly recommend... Oh, this is silly. Highly recommend going for just the one hit. That was pretty hilarious on Mumble when that happened. I was just like, no, I wanted the crossbow kill. I wasn't going to go touch him with an Uber Saw. Just hit the one Uber Saw hit and then back off, let the rest of your team get the kill. Because the kill isn't what's important. What's important is that you build that Uber just a little bit faster, and the 25% that you get from one hit is pretty big. Not going to lie. So we are now walking in a heavy, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be the end of the game. So I do thank you for watching, of course, and you can kind of watch how I continue to give heals, making sure everybody stays alive, popping Ubers through the choke points, making sure to do that very early so we don't get our heads, you know, domed, sniped, whatever. Walking our heavy onto the point, making sure he stays alive as long as possible. And now I just want to make sure that we've got the ability to win the game, and we do. So thank you very much for watching once again. Subscribe to youtube.com/fatmob for more helpful commentaries. And I know I've heard from you guys that one thing you would like to see is is me doing demo reviews of like competitive, you know, professional players like Banny and Tyler and whoever else. And I'm thinking about doing that too. But I want to get through at least my own personal commentaries of these before I start in on that series. Anyway, do leave a comment. Of course, the contest is leave a comment, any good old comment, and you will be entered for the next prize drawing. Thank you very much.